Welcome back. Manhattan District Judge Juan Merchan partially lifting the gag order on former President Trump, allowing him to speak about witnesses and jurors, but not specific prosecutors, court staff, or their family members. Yesterday, Trump's legal team argued that the August 2022 raid of his Mar-a-Lago property was done without probable cause and violated his constitutional rights. Trump's attorney said the search warrant did not cover the entire 58-bedroom estate, and FBI agents were not briefed on exactly where to search. Some agents called it unnecessary, saying that Trump should have received a heads up. New photos from that raid coming out yesterday. Take a look at this. This shows boxes of documents flipped over onto the ground. Joining me now is Fox News contributor and former FBI special agent Nicole Parker. Nicole, it's always a pleasure. Good to see you this morning. What's your reaction to all of this, that raid on Mar-a-Lago?
The raid on Mar-a-Lago, as a special agent when that occurred, I obviously was not present at the raid, but it was absolutely shocking. And internally at the FBI, I can tell you that agents and staff, employees were absolutely stunned. And in a congressional hearing last year, Stephen D'Antuono, who was the former head of the Washington field office, did tell individuals in Congress that there was a almost dispute between DOJ and FBI, and he did not think that it was a good idea, visually for the FBI to go in and execute the search warrant. Why don't we work with him? Let's do a consent. And DOJ said, you know what, we disagree. We think that evidence could be destroyed. We think that we need to go in and do the search now. And there was a disagreement between FBI and DOJ, but I can tell you, even internally at the FBI, individuals were very apprehensive. And when I even heard about the search being executed, and I was not even present, I was absolutely stunned. So to hear these things coming out now, yes, there are many disputes going on, and Judge Cannon is going to hear everything pre-trial.
So while you were a special agent at the FBI and you saw a change in sentiment in the leadership, what were the rank and file thinking, Nicole? What was going on within the FBI behind closed doors? Were people noticing that Jim Comey, for example, was getting real political? They were pursuing the Russia collusion story against Trump, and that was totally made up. And then they followed up with, making believe that the Hunter Biden laptop was fake. What were you hearing from your colleagues in the FBI at that time?
Maria, I can tell you wholeheartedly, I loved being an FBI special agent. I loved helping American citizens, putting violent criminals behind bars. But what got very disturbing to myself and to many others at the Bureau was the politicization of the organization. When you join the FBI and you take that oath, there is no mention of what political affiliation you should be associated with. In fact, you should never even be discussing that, in your professional place of employment. But agents and employees continue to see over and over that the FBI was going after those on the conservative and Republican side of the spectrum, and yet they were turning a blind eye to those on the Democratic or more liberal or progressive side. Examples of this would be, again, for Hillary Clinton. When Jim Comey came out in July of 2016 and said no reasonable prosecutor would charge Hillary Clinton, that was alarming to agents because they knew that there was substantial evidence based on what we heard that there was she should be charged. But look at it now. What reasonable prosecutor? They go ahead and charge President Trump. So reasonable prosecutors will charge President Trump, but they will not charge Hillary Clinton. And again, the Russia collusion hoax, one thing after another. Summer of 2020, the FBI did virtually nothing. January 6th, they're still going full throttle after those individuals who, some of them violent offenders. I don't agree with that. But those that simply walked in, looking around the Capitol and they're going full throttle for misdemeanors, that is not what FBI agents and employees signed up for. And it is concerning. It does cause problems.
So disturbing. It's so disturbing when you've got the leadership of arguably America's most important law enforcement agency, and the leadership is so political. I want to ask you about this because the CIA is also, part of this. Internal emails obtained by the House Judiciary Committee revealed that the CIA was coordinating with the Biden campaign before the 2020 election to make the Hunter Biden laptop look like Russian disinformation. I've got the report in front of me, and it's called The Intelligence Community 51, How CIA Contractors Colluded with the Biden Campaign to Mislead American Voters. The New York Post is out with a new piece, Spies Who Lie leader. Co-signers were CIA contractors when they falsely implied Hunter Biden laptop was Russian fake. House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan was on Hannity last night. Watch this.
Morells organizes the statement that 51 people signed. When he sends out the statement, he says, this is so Joe Biden will have a talking point against Trump during the upcoming debate. The letter was actually reviewed by the top people at the CIA, either Director Haspel or Deputy Director Bishop. Agents looked at this and said, this is not what the CIA should be doing. This is a bad look for the CIA. This is all political. Some of the people who signed it, like Mike Morell, were actually on contract with the CIA when they signed it. This is something our government had for a year. They had the laptop, and they knew it wasn't hacked by Russia.
I mean, this makes Watergate look like child's play, Nicole.
It's extremely concerning. And talking about the Hunter Biden laptop that they, alleged, and again, they said, oh, we just inferred that it was a potential Russian operation. We didn't say it was. Well, when you're reading a letter with 51 intel officers who have signed it around the time of an election, and it says, we're basically inferring this, as a U.S. citizen, you're putting your trust in your intel agency. Isn't that what they're there for? This is the problem. You have destroyed the trust of the American people because that was not Russian disinformation. An FBI agent testified in the Hunter Biden gun trial and said, no, that was authenticated by the FBI back in 2019 when the information was turned over to the FBI. That was not disinformation. But then to go back in October of 2020, a letter, 51 intel officers, Maria, that is a violation of your rights as an intel officer. You represent and you are supposed to be trusted, have the highest level of integrity. How are we supposed to trust individuals that do that? They knew exactly what they were doing. They wanted to mislead Americans. And frankly, they're warning about Russian interference. Frankly, the warning should be about U.S. interference. Forget about Russian interference. You've got U.S. interference going left and right. In 2020, it was a letter. It was big tech suppressing information that was being stated. 2024, they've amped it up significantly. Now it's, 94 counts against the leading individual running for the the Republican Party. And, they're just amping it up. They have no limits, and it's disturbing. And that is why people no longer trust the legal and criminal justice system of the United States, because they have abused their rights. And again, regardless of where you stand on the political spectrum, that is not right. No. And when these intel officers were asked about it after the fact, several of them doubled down, said it was patriotic of them to do that. They doubled down. They said, look, that's old news. Don't worry about it. We stand by what we said. But you know what? What they did was wrong. They need to admit it was wrong. And Americans need to be able to regain the trust of the intel and law enforcement agencies in the United States.
And not only that, but there's no accountability. If we don't see accountability, they're just going to keep doing it. I mean, John Brennan has been attacking Trump since Trump came down the elevator. And, he at one point, the head of the CIA, he knew Hillary Clinton made up the story about the Russia collusion, and he just, ignored it and drove it forward. One of the lines in this report, the intelligence community 51, how CIA contractors colluded with the Biden campaign to mislead American voters, basically points out that they wanted to give a lifeline to Joe Biden ahead of the debate. And President Biden did cite the statement to a televised debate with President Trump shortly before the election, saying 51 intelligence officers said it was Russian disinformation. So they basically quieted down the Hunter laptop. And all that was in it right before the election, more election interference.
Again, the irony is they're complaining about Russian interference. It's actually their interference. They were the ones that were interfering more than any foreign country, in my opinion.
Yeah, here's the report that is out, and Senator Ron Johnson, by the way, also tweeted about it. He says this helps explain why then CIA Director Gina Haspel refused to provide information Senator Grassley and I requested in our investigation of the Russia collusion hoax. She would not even schedule a phone call to explain why. Instead, she allowed these 51 corrupt officials to interfere in the 2020 election to a far greater extent than anything Russia could have hoped for. Exactly what you said, Nicole. There's the interference, domestic interference. Correct. Great to have you on this morning. Nicole, thank you.
Thank you.
Nicole Parker, former FBI special agent.